In my complaint, I allege that the drug evaluation and scheduling procedures of both the CSA and conventions result in the deprivation of multiple liberty rights, are inadequate and fundamentally unfair, and thus violate procedural due process requirements. The district court dismissed these claims after admitting it did not understand them, and the Ninth Circuit affirmed, stating that I had not alleged sufficient facts to support a finding of inadequate process. At this stage, the court was not permitted to make the finding of fact of whether the processes are in fact adequate. Rather, it was only permitted to find whether I stated sufficient facts showing such claims plausible. For procedural due process claims, I need only allege deprivation of a protected liberty interest through inadequate process and support such allegation with sufficient facts. In my complaint, I alleged over 80 paragraphs of facts, wherein I thoroughly analyzed and described the procedures used by respondents and the UN. I explained how the procedures were inadequate. I explicitly tied the inadequate procedures to the resulting deprivation of multiple protected liberty rights. And I directly alleged that the drug schedules would look vastly different and the deprivations of liberty would not occur if fair and adequate process is used. Although there are too many inadequacies to list here, the most notable that I alleged include a financial conflict of interest among decision makers, whereby respondents receive a direct financial benefit from their schedule, placement, and criminalization decisions. Respondents' explicit disregard for and statutory violations of the CSA's scheduling requirements, and lack of any process to challenge the drug scheduling decisions that are made pursuant to the conventions and criminally enforced by respondents. Any of these three alone should suffice to allege a plausible claim of inadequate process, especially given that these processes result in criminal legislation responsible for mass imprisonment. The results of the unlawful government procedures are catastrophic and deadly. Prescription drugs are the third leading cause of death in the U.S. behind heart disease, which is often caused by prescription drugs. When the government schedules pharmaceuticals as legal to be distributed and possessed, it falsely declares that these drugs are safe for use and less harmful than drugs on more restrictive schedules. As alleged, it makes such declarations while intentionally ignoring and omitting evidence that proves otherwise. These actions are to the direct detriment of the American people, who often trust that controlled FDA-approved drugs have been thoroughly analyzed for their safety and health benefits. Finally, the processes used here result in widespread deprivation of freedom and have remained unquestioned for decades. The Ninth Circuit's requirement that I allege more facts and prove my allegations beyond plausibility effectively created an insurmountable and unlawful pleading standard warranting Supreme Court review.